Sami Zayn annihilated the Gingerbread Man on SmackDown. And I really like this segment, even though I don't really like how Sami Zayn has been used for a very long time. And even in the lead up to WrestleMania with Trick Williams and Lil Yachty and the Gingerbread Man stuff, I wasn't really that big of a fan of it. Mainly because I figured Sami Zayn is just going to go to WrestleMania and lose to a young up-and-coming star. And that speaks to how Sami Zayn has been used as a performer for years now. The last time I was really excited about Sami Zayn's future was in 2023. If you remember, Sami Zayn joined the Bloodline in 2022, and those guys put on some of the greatest television segments that WWE has produced in probably the last decade or more. And so I figured at some point we're going to see Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns, who was the world champion at the time, obviously. And Sami would eventually win the title because that's where the story was leading. I mean, that's the most common sense thing to do. And it actually would have been a great way to end that story because although Roman had defeated so many opponents with the help of the Bloodline, it would be poetic justice for somebody within the Bloodline to defeat Roman Reigns for the title. Only somebody who knew Roman that well could have defeated him for the title. That was the perfect end. And when Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns faced each other in Montreal at Elimination Chamber, one-on-one for the title, that should have been the end of Roman's reign and Sami Zayn winning that title. That's what should have happened. Instead, they shoehorned Cody Rhodes into the whole thing, and eventually they just throw Sami Zayn to the side, and Cody takes over, and the next year is just about Cody chasing his goal of becoming WWE champion and eventually winning at WrestleMania 40, which I actually liked WrestleMania 39 more than WrestleMania 40 because I figured Cody was going to lose because I couldn't imagine them having Cody run through the entire roster undefeated since he came from AEW and then defeat Roman in his first attempt. So it was funny when Roman beat Cody in that match. And it was exciting because you didn't really know what was going to happen. Maybe Cody would have won. You never know what WWE is going to do. But back to Sami Zayn. So ever since then, Sami has been in some feuds that made it look like, hey, maybe he's going to be in the main event. Maybe not. It's like anytime they put him up against a world champion or a main eventer, he'll have a decent showing usually. And then obviously the main eventer wins, whether it's Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, Drew McIntyre in Saudi Arabia. He faced Drew for the title, and Drew pretty much whooped him and got a definitive victory over Sami Zayn. Only for Drew to lose the title back to Cody, and then Cody goes to WrestleMania as champion. Ridiculous. That makes Sami look even worse. So Sami Zayn's stock has been taking a lot of hits over the years. But in the lead up to WrestleMania, he becomes U.S. champion. He's going to defend it against Trick Williams. And slowly, over a long period of time, they've kind of been teasing that Sami is going to turn heel. Because with Sami being a babyface, he's never won the big one. So now the story is, well, maybe he has to turn heel to win the big one. I guess that's what the story is. That is the only story that can be told here. Because otherwise, why turn Sami heel? And Sami has taken a lot of losses in recent years. It kind of reminds me of Bayley. If you remember when Bayley was in Damage Control, she had a knee injury, right? And then she comes back, I think it was at SummerSlam, with her new group with Io Sky and Dakota Kai. They called it Damage Control. But for a long time, Bayley was like losing matches and Damage Control looked like a very weak group until like Io Sky became champion, and that led to a feud with Bayley, and then Bayley won the title at WrestleMania. She won the Royal Rumble that year, And that was like basically Bayley's best year since she came back from injury. But Bayley was losing a lot until she finally like, okay, they're going to give her her chance now. Now it's her time to shine. And I can only imagine that's what they're doing with Sami. Like they gave him a bunch of losses and feuds that pretty much went nowhere or just led to him losing to one of the main guys, or he'll have a feud with Braun Breaker, and it's like he's kind of just hanging around losing to a bunch of people. Occasionally he'll get a win in, but it really doesn't mean much because most of the time he loses. So with that in mind, this segment with the Gingerbread Man, I think this is the final turning heel the segment that we're going to get with Sami Zayn. I think that was the definitive point where we can say, okay, Sami's a heel now. Because if you kick the Gingerbread Man in his ginger jewels, and then you tear off his buttons and stuff, and you tear his face apart, I mean, a good guy wouldn't do that. And then Trick Williams, which, by the way, this makes no sense. Why is Trick Williams coming out to stop Sami Zayn from beating up basically a costume of a gingerbread man? So that kind of made the whole segment ridiculous. Like, why is he coming out to save a gingerbread man? And then he chases Sami off. Sami runs away. And I was actually hoping, you know what would have been great on SmackDown? At the conclusion of the Cody Rhodes-Ricky Saints match, when Cody wins, it should have been Sami Zayn attacking Cody to build a feud with Sami and Cody where Sami actually wins the title. That would have been great. Instead, Gunther comes in and, I guess we're going to have another Gunther title reign down the road, which I have nothing against Gunther, but like the way they've used him is so boring. Just retiring people. Yeah, he's been world champion, but nobody really paid attention. He tapped out to a sleeper from Jey Uso at WrestleMania. Yo, that made him look so silly. But anyway, I don't think Gunther has been used particularly well either. I mean, TKO's version of WWE has been making a lot of mistakes. But anyway, Sami Zayn is officially a heel again. And I can only hope this leads to a main event spot, because being a mid-card heel, man, he's done that a million times before. He's got to win the world championship. I'm hoping that he's the one who dethrones Cody Rhodes, because, I mean, I don't know if Cody Rhodes is taking time off. Is that why Cody's going to face Gunther? I don't know if Cody's facing Gunther at Backlash. Maybe he is. But if Gunther takes the title, that means Sami Zayn is not going to be a world champion for a while. Maybe Sami will win the Money in the Bank briefcase. That could be a way of, him finally becoming world champion without him defeating one of their golden boys like Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, any of these people. It's like he could just cash in on somebody and become champion. And you know what? That actually makes the most sense. He might just do that. But yeah, I'm ready for Sami Zayn to stop losing, start winning. And I'm happy that he's a heel, because he can win as a heel by cheating and stuff. So I'm definitely looking forward to Sami Zayn, winning some matches and hopefully becoming a main eventer and staying there. That he has been in the mid-card. My goodness, how long he's been there. I mean, when did he come up from NXT? I think his debut on the main roster was more than 10 years ago. And really, yes, I mean, he's basically been stuck in this middle role where he's not quite the main event, but he's not quite a mid-carder. He kind of just floats in this purgatory where nothing is going on and he's stagnating. I'm hoping this is the beginning of the end. And I love the gingerbread segment. This was one of the best Sami Zayn segments I've seen probably since he was with the Bloodline. So that's got to be a sign of good things to come.